from Vermont.
Madam President, yesterday I came before the chamber. Again, I made the case for why Congress needs to begin negotiations on another COVID-19 emergency supplemental bill, and do it now. The needs are real. They're immediate. In fact, when the House passed the HEROES Act, we should have begun those negotiations the first week after they passed it. We didn't. We should have done the second week after they passed it. We didn't. We should have done the third week after they passed it. We didn't. And the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth. Now, every day I talk with Vermonters, sometimes hundreds at a time in statewide conference calls. And I hear their urgent needs from small businesses to families, to schools, to hospitals, to federal employees. And so today, Madam President, I want to talk about just one of those urgent needs: funding for the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS. They play an important role in our nation's immigration system. They're processing requests for immigration benefits, American citizenship, and they screen asylum seekers. The agency is staffed by more than 19,000 dedicated men and women across the country, including roughly 1,700 in my home state of Vermont. Now, last Friday, furlough notices were sent out to 13,350 of the 19,000 USCIS employees, and they're effective next month on August 3rd. That's just 4 weeks from now. In Vermont, 1,111 men and women received this notice. That's over 65% of the USCIS workforce in Vermont. Now, these are men and women who day after day do important work for the nation. They've continued to do that work every day, even during the COVID-19 pandemic. And they've been told, even though they've been doing the work loyally and effectively, after August 3rd, a month from now, they can no longer do their job. They'll no longer receive a paycheck. Now, nationwide, these are 13,350 new and urgent reasons why the Senate must act on our nation's real and immediate needs, and the Senate majority must make that possible now. We've lost 6 weeks since the House acted on this. It's time the Senate acts. And I've been ringing the alarm bells for more than a month on this issue. We know that due to declining revenue and immigration-related application fees coming into USCIS, the agency is facing a budget shortfall of $1.2 billion. And the furlough notices that were suddenly sent out last week are the results of this shortfall. USCIS is simply saying they can't pay employees with revenues they do not have. But I'd remind everybody the shortfall is not entirely due to COVID-19. The agency has not lived within its budget for the last 3 years of this administration. And frankly, the Trump administration's mismanagement and extreme immigration policies have only worsened the situation. As part of the president's efforts to erase our identity as a nation of immigrants, he has not just tried to shut our nation's doors to asylum seekers and refugees, he's attempted to restrict almost all immigration to this country. He's created obstacles for immigrant workers, created a wealth test for immigrants, even exploited the current public health emergency to impose additional immigration restrictions. They have nothing to do with public health. And because USCIS has not been able to issue visas or process other immigration benefits as they normally do, as a result of President Trump's anti-immigrant policies, revenue, of course, has fallen. But no matter the cause, this budget shortfall is real. We have to address it. Furloughs would not only disrupt the processing of immigration benefits and American citizenship and other critical services provided by USCIS, but it's going to cause unnecessary hardships on thousands of federal employees and federal contractors. It's going to come at a time when our nation is already dealing with record job losses. The loss of these valuable jobs will also cause hardship to the communities across the nation where these federal workers live and work. These are communities already struggling with the pandemic. And we're dealing with people that have skills that have been built up over years of experience. So let's craft a fair and responsible solution to this problem. That would require emergency appropriations and accompanying legislation to ensure transparency and accountability. Time is of the essence. I know as Vice Chairman of the Appropriations Committee, we've got agreement on the vast majority of the possible appropriations bills. There's been a concern by the Republican majority not to bring them up because they do not want something on COVID. Well, every senator can go home and talk to their people in their state. They'll hear, as I do every single day in my calls with Vermonters, there is a need to do something regarding COVID. Now, there's been numerous calls from myself and Democratic leadership in the Senate. And despite those calls, the White House and the Republican majority have refused to move forward on a fourth COVID-19 emergency appropriations bill where we could address this and other critical issues caused by the coronavirus pandemic. We should not wait any longer. In fact, we must not wait any longer. Madam President, I call on Majority Leader McConnell to begin bipartisan negotiations on a COVID-19 emergency relief bill now, so we can solve this problem before furloughs are necessary. The Senate is about to recess for 2 weeks, but that doesn't mean our work stops. With millions of people working from home due to coronavirus, including in the U.S. Senate, we've shown that we can do our job from wherever we're located. I know on the major COVID bill, my staff and I worked 7 days a week, sometimes very late into the night, and we're all at separate locations. But we got it done. And we got an appropriations bill through here. They had almost all Republicans and Democrats voting for it because people worked together. We worked together. And we passed legislation this country needed. We've shown it can be done. So we can and we should begin bipartisan, bicameral negotiations. Do it during the next 2 weeks, so that when the Senate is back in session, we have legislation to consider and debate. We can enact a bill into law expeditiously. If there are amendments that people want or things they want to change, vote them up or vote them down. We should be willing to stand here and vote. And then we can enact a bill into law and do it expeditiously. The American people deserve no less. The dedicated men and women at USCIS deserve no less. But I'd say the men and women of every single one of our states deserve no less. There's 100 of us here. We've shown we can work together. We've done it before. We've done our appropriations bills. We sat here, voted for or against amendments, and then done what's best for the country. Let's do it. Let's not be afraid to vote. Madam President, I see my distinguished friend from Texas on the floor, so I will yield the floor.